And welcome back to the final of the Forza Racing Championship. The final week, we've had 4 tremendous weeks of racing. Scott Cole on with Ali Tack. We had a nice European races earlier, and now it's time for North America.
Yeah, exactly. You know, coming away from some nice racing, some good stuff earlier on today. Yeah, the Europeans, they put on a good show, but I want to see a little bit more from the North Americans, please. I want, you know, faster overtakes, better action, and the whole thing, you know. I'm an addict. I'm an addict.
Well, there's a couple ways that folks have been racing in this Forza Racing Championship. Some going through the rivals path and some going through the race path. The race path is what we're going to show you here this afternoon. It's, of course, we just did the EMEA 23 drivers. We'll tell you more about that. And now North America, there's 15 drivers that are going to be fighting for those positions in LeMans.
Yeah, exactly. So 15 going through, getting an invite to LeMans. The top 4, yeah, they get the full treatment, travel and everything. And so it's going to be about fighting for those positions, you know, especially with it being a long old distance between North America and France. You know, it's extra important here, of course. And so it's going to be, yeah, tense stuff at the top. I mean, so far in the previous weeks, it's all been about Harmonic though, right?
And so it's Harmonic, it's Diablo, Paul, and Hornet.
That's right.
Are the ones that currently, right now, all expenses paid to LeMans. But we got some points to pass out here this evening, and that's going to be the issue is, although those guys have locked in a place to have an invite to LeMans, they have yet to secure that all expenses will be paid for. So especially for these North American folks, that is a pricey flight, I can tell you that. So that's one of the real prizes that they're going to be fighting for tonight is those, just that little bit. If they can get that little bit of points here in week 4, that will really cement their place as far as when it comes to LeMans. We have starting grid positions for this evening's races. For race number 4, of course, it's going to start off on Spa, then we go to Lime Rock, and then it'll be the Alps in the end. There's Harmonic, Hornet, Diablo, Paul. Those are the top 4 I was telling you about. Murano, Version, Billy So, Scuba Steve, Beck, Supreme, Brizho, and then is that Chirp?
Chirp, chirp. Right, just right there, THR Chirp, chirp. I think it's a new signing for the team, actually. Good to see him straight out here in the Forza RC. It's the first time I've seen him race, so it's going to be cool to watch. Yeah, Scuba Steve, though, he's somebody who's sitting just outside of that bracket.
He's on the bubble.
He's on 7th right now. I think he needs another sort of couple of 100 points, and he can see himself really up there in contention. So a good week here from Scuba Steve, a good week from Brizzo as well, and they could be right up there.
Yeah, Brizzo is one of the guys that's right on that edge of that 4th place. If he can, let's see, really you're wanting top 3 placements. That's what you're talking about, those 500 points all the way down to about 400. That's about the 6th place.
Yep.
That is a good, like, jumpstart yourself into getting into that final opportunity to have an all-expense paid trip to the finals, which is in LeMans.
It is, exactly. You know, it doesn't require that you win every race. You know, we saw earlier today, Roadrunner had a really strong race 1, did a really good job and won that one, but then actually didn't manage to repeat that success in race 2 and 3. But nonetheless, he did manage to score really, really good points at the end of the day. And so, yeah, it's about conserving. It's about doing your best in every single one of them, and you're not going to get lucky every single time.
Well, you actually only had 29 points, but 25 of that came on our first race on Spa. Really looked good in that P class, but then trailed off as the other 2 races went on. Johnson was very dominating, and he looked really good on the Europe side. Now we have the other side, which is Harmonic. He's been just as dominant, if not more, on the North American stage.
I mean, Harmonic, he's not been beaten yet, right? Every single race.
Yeah.
We could see him today. It's possible for Harmonic today to have a 100% win record season 3 of the Forza Racing Championship. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
Even when it's North America, it's still impressive? This is your chance for your European bias. Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm right here.
We grow up the best races. We are the classiest European races. We drink fine wine.
I thought it was just Spain and Italy. I thought UK is rubbish.
Hey, now. See, this is what you get. You know, you came around for a week. You tasted
I know. And now all of a sudden,
you tried everything, and now it's like, yeah.
I went to a Chelsea match. I went to the FA Cup.
You've had a good time. You saw Eric Clapton. You know, a jewel of English rock music.
I know. So I feel like I'm glad to be going home tomorrow. No. It's been a great time here. We got 3 races coming up for you, all North American. Final race of the Forza Racing Championship Series until we get there. So there's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
Yeah. There definitely is. There definitely is a lot of pressure, you know, and we've seen that play out in different ways for different drivers. Some of them can really embrace that pressure, you know, take their competition up to the next level, and other ones, you know, start making sloppy mistakes, start maybe not optimizing in the same way. I mean, you know, we see, yeah, some do better than others, is what I'm saying.
That's the polite way to say it. Race number 1 is going to be on Spa. This is one of our favorites. It's got a lot of great corners, great curves, and they're going to be racing it in that Penske RS Spider Evo. What a brilliant machine.
Yeah, it's so cool, right? It's such a cool looking car. Little open top LMP2 car there. Super, super light. I think it doesn't deliver that much horsepower, that much for a racing car, I should say. 500 brake horsepower is, of course, enough to get you to the shop and back quite easily. But it's because it only weighs a very small amount that it's going to get you through there.
4.35 miles, 7 laps, and if it's anything like we had in the European competitiveness this morning, we are in for an absolute treat. We had to be honest with you, we had a collision, a catastrophic collision on the first lap as they were going through into turns 2, 3, 4, and 5. Of course, that's the en route. And really, that set the pace for the remainder, and that's how Roadrunner found himself up front and never let it go. So I say that to say, watch out for the first couple of turns, because this could be anybody's race.
You're absolutely right. You know, you have to back off a lot, especially when you're driving in a pack, when there's a lot of cars very close to one another. You have to be willing and ready just to slow yourself down a little bit more than you might expect. Just make sure that your pace is okay, but just strong enough to get you through. In fact, I would say for a competition like this, there's almost no need to think like, I'm going to get right up to the front in the first corner.
And you're currently living like an hour from this track.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, so tell me about the race you went to go see.
Yeah, I haven't been yet. I haven't been. I have to go before I move house. But
we'll get Ali out of the nerd cave to actually go over and check out Spa. And there's some tremendous corners on this. As a driver, what's the corners that's really the most concerning to you?
In this car, Eau Rouge at the start, so this is the left, right, left, uphill and over the crest. It's okay as you're going up the hill. It's when you crest on the left-hander, coming over the top of the hill there, the back of this car can get a little bit light, and you can see people just losing out a little bit. I think we're going to have a little look at the corners now.
Let's go through them one by one. First, that first turn, La Source. That's one that you got to be very delicate with.
Yeah, best overtaking possibility on the track, but on lap 1, this is going to get a little bit tasty. Here's what I'm talking about, Eau Rouge and Raidillon. There they are, you head up the hill, left and right. That's a pretty easy one, the left and right. It's just the left after that, where the back can get light, and you can have yourself a high-speed accident if you're not careful.
Yeah, then you go down the Kimmel Straight, and then next thing you know, after you go through the Combs, you're dumped down into Bruxelles.
Yeah, that's right. It's an off-camber, double apex right-hander. You're going to want to trail brake onto the first apex and just lean that car around that place.
And we are ready to go. Grid is set. Harmonic Hornet is in the second position. Third is Diablo. And there is the man of the hour, Paul. You got to watch for him. Not on a team, but might be before we get to France.
Yeah, that's right. He's got himself a nice maroon livery this time round version there. Looking strong in 6th position with Billy Sue just beside him. Scuba Steve back again as well. Great to see IHR making a reappearance here at the Forza Racing Championship.
Dr. Bex is in 9th, AMS Supreme in 10th as he gives us a little wave. And Brizzo is in 11th, and of course bringing up the rear end of this final is Chirp Chirp.
Chirp Chirp.
And we are in Belgium. We are on Circuit de la Spa, and we are all green and ready to go. The first of 3 races here this evening. Some need the points to be able to. Right off the bat, I told you, at first turn, you got to watch out.
You definitely do. Let's hop backwards all the way to Cod Brizzo in 11th and just see the action as it unfolds there. Tough stuff. Tough stuff on the straight down to Eau Rouge. That's where we saw this in European races as well. Just too many cars in too little space. and a lot of bravery and not much brains happening for a few of those drivers.
Nope. It's been a rough start here from the get-go. They're starting to pile themselves up. You can see the bumping and grinding, working their way on the backside of this track. You can see with just 500 horsepower, but you gotta be able to work in the braking, especially when you come to this downhill. Now on board with Supreme. He's in 5th. So a cheeky start there, Ali.
Yeah, beautiful stuff for a few of them. For many at the back, though, they'll find themselves disadvantaged coming into a 7-lap race because some people were a little bit greedy, I think, at the beginning. Wanted to win the race on that first corner. There's no checkered flag there to come across. This is, of course, the battle for second position we're looking at here, though, and a few of the racers who have done a really great job at the start. We're on board with Supreme, as you say, Scott, but yeah, up ahead, Paul and Version are fighting it out.
And you can see there, 5th gear, 5th and 6th gear are going to be your friends on spot. Just in the first lap, Harmonic up in front, Hornet second. Still riding along with Supreme because right now, 2nd through 5th is a logjam.
You know, Harmonic, look at that on the track map already, 1 lap in. And he's built himself up something like 500 feet there on 2nd place. So a really good job from him. Supreme, though, here in 5th, now looking for a move on Paul into the source. This is the one we were talking about, a great overtaking opportunity. Just being pinched there, though, on the apex.
So they go through the source, and now you have the opportunity to go through En Rouge. They're up close, right in 3rd with Version. And you can see the speed, Ali, as they work through that En Rouge. You talk about that crest at the top of the hill. That's where you got to be. Show some white gloves, some delicate racing situation.
You definitely do. It's a tough place that to push through. These cars, of course, very high downforce, very light, so able to get through there, but the speed just gets so intense. Yeah, that at some point it does get risky once again. Just back here, though, in 6th position.
Yeah, there's Diablo. He's racing right behind AMS Supreme. And really, as first place, Harmonic starts to pull away. It's really a battle for 2nd.
It is, but what a battle for 2nd. We have 5 cars here in very close contention. Up in 2nd place itself, it's going to be Hornet. So doing a great job there, Hornet. Currently running 4th in this championship, with Version just behind him. Paul in the maroon car. That's Supreme in the yellow just ahead of us. And we're on board with Diablo, who's just trying to close that gap again. He was right up to Supreme, and now he's just falling back again.
Well, we've talked a lot about Paul, and there he is, the man with no team, but he keeps putting up the results, and that's really all that matters. And boy, he's looking good again. We saw his strategy a week ago, Ali. He just clean races after clean races and hope that the drivers ahead of him make mistakes.
You're absolutely right, and you know, and because of that tactic, because of the way he holds back, drives conservative, lets people around him make the mistakes, moves through, you know, he showers himself in glory because it's a great way to drive, it's super respectful, and at the same as that, it gets you results. So yeah, Paul really coming out squeaky clean from this competition and looking particularly good heading into Le Mans, but that does not stop AMS Supreme.
He is all over Paul right now, I can tell you that, as we move through En Rouge here. You talk about left, right, up the hill, and you got the crest as you work your way down to really, it's an overblown chicane. Let's be honest, turns 7, 8, and 9, just zigzagging through, and really that's when the track really starts to bottle up, Ali.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like American city blocks here. You just go through left-hander, right-hander 90 degrees, all the way through. Supreme doing a great job to stay on the rear of Paul here. I think the best you're going to be able to do in this kind of car
here we go. Thought Diablo might have had an open door there as Supreme had swung wide, but Supreme able to close that. That's the one thing. You're thinking about passing Paul, and then they say, you know, Diablo is right there to answer the bell as well.
Exactly, and that's the difficulty of making an overtake in a pack like this. There are so many cars close to each other that every time you attack, you find yourself on the defense immediately. You know, whoever whoever comes out worst in an overtaking situation will have slowed down, and the person behind that pack will be right on the back of the two of them once again, putting the pressure on. And that's the kind of thing Supreme wants to avoid. That's why you can see him just holding back a little bit here and driving it a little bit more tidy.
Well, let's get on board here with Harmonic as he's making his way around this track. What have you seen for him? This is just a racer. Time and time again, his speed has been much unmatched in this Forza Racing Championship thus far on the North American side.
You're absolutely right. You know, I mean, I often call Harmonic in my commentary a P-class specialist. I'll say that he's super, super strong in these LMP2, LMP1 cars. But he's done it week in, week out in C-class cars, S-class cars, all over the place. And yeah, look at him there.
I mean, just went through La Source like he was just turned around in the parking lot. And now he's coming on Rouge here. Just gorgeous racing.
It's fantastic to see, isn't it? These cars really opening it up down the Kemmel Straight here. Really cool. Back here, though, with Supreme. He's just a little bit behind Harmonic and still chasing down Paul for that 4th position. I've got to say, I love that pack, that battle, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Super close to one another. I feel like a little mistake maybe from Hornet in 2nd would set off such an amazing chain of overtakes.
It's worth noting how far back 7 through, let's be honest, 7 through pretty much 12, sort of in a pack of their own there, a little separation. You see the 11th and 12th trailing well far back. And you can see on the mini map in the lower left-hand corner just how big of a lead Harmonic has.
Yeah, and this is something we saw in EMEA as well. It's a feature, I think, of these cars at this track. It's very difficult in the mid-pack to make it through without a crash. And when you do crash, of course, everyone behind you does end up losing out as well. So that's why we see that very big gap there on the track map, bottom left of the screen, with a few stragglers there just catching up and coming through the last few corners.
There's Version. He's in the middle of that in the number 3 spot. Just one behind Hornet.
Diablo through there, though, making his way past Supreme onto the back straight, so getting a great run. The F4H guy moving up there to 5th position. So a good job from him.
Well, his next car he's going to have to pass is going to have to be Paul. And Paul's a guy that really doesn't give you much. Diablo now in 5th, Supreme back to 6th, and those guys aren't done fighting it out, Ali.
Side by side, here they go down the hill towards Eau Rouge. This is all about who's got the guts. And there it is, Supreme. He has the lift, takes it, and I think that's a very reasonable and respectful thing to do. That's the difference you see between experienced drivers on this game and maybe some of the rookies. They might have tried to throw that in there, but too wide into Eau Rouge, that's just a good way to find yourself in a crash barrier.
Have you been surprised, Paul, sort of been a newcomer to the Season 3, just how cool, calm, and collective he's been, with how respectful and seasoned his racing seems at times?
You're absolutely right. You know, it's amazing to see someone just coming out of the box like that. You know, not a racer I knew before this championship, this Season 3 that we jumped into here, and somebody who just hasn't seemed to put a foot wrong. You know, seems to know that you can't win every race. Doesn't always go for the move, will sometimes be patient, and that's always a good thing to see. Supreme, though, here, he wants that place back, and you can see him just threatening Diablo, and that's ultimately lost him a little bit of time there through Pouon.
Sliding back a little bit. Let's go up into 3rd position here. This is Version and Hornet, as Harmonic is so far out in front in this 5th lap. This is really the battle. The battle is between Hornet and Version. And Version's been there pretty much the entire race. But Hornet, every time he comes out of the apex, is able to gain time and gain distance.
You're right. I mean, often we drive on board with the attacking driver, so it can feel like a disappointment if they don't get through, if they don't manage the overtake. But sometimes you have to put yourself in the shoes of the defending driver as well. It's certainly something we saw in EMEA. You know, if you can hold somebody off who's maybe got a few more tenths on you in a given race, that's a fantastic feeling once you cross that finish line and take the race away.
2 laps to go as they move into La Source. It's just the first race of North America And we got them side by side again. It's Supreme.
Second time of asking this
Trying
time.
to, yeah, and he's finally worked his way past Diablo. What an overtake by Supreme.
Absolutely outstanding. You know, last time round, we saw Supreme was the guy who backed off into a Rouge. This time, it was Diablo. Both of them switching places there, Diablo on the outside.
I think that was the key. You know, he was on the inside last lap, and he said, well, I can't overtake him there. This time when I work myself away, I'm going to be on the outside. Headsy driving there by Supreme regains the 5th spot.
Exactly. Great mature driving.
Oh,
Do
wow.
not think that Diablo has disappeared. He's all over that car like a rash. So, yeah, this battle will go on for the next lap and a half. That's what remains of this race.
Some absolutely brilliant driving in 2nd and 3rd, and then 5th and 6th. That's really what the two battles are, and it's a Paul that's in between them. Let's check on Paul right now. You can see he is chasing down that 2nd and 3rd, the battle there. I'm glad Paul finally found himself a paint job this week.
I agree. You know,
He got himself a nice livery there.
That's a beautiful one. I wonder if it's a Paul special, if it's got someone to paint that for him. But a beautiful job. It's always good to see the liveries that the drivers bring out, the drivers and the teams, I should say, bring out to the Forza Racing Championship. Always a lot of effort going in and making sure that the racing is as pretty as it is competitive.
So Harmonic way out in front. We have Hornet. Boy, Version getting just a bit off his line there. Hornet able to keep him off. And now, coming through. This is going to be a huge 7th lap.
That's the undercut there from Paul, trying to carry a little bit more speed here than Version down towards Eau Rouge. Paul on that outside, that's where we've seen people lift from.
Yeah,
He's
Paul.
got an advantage.
Paul overtakes him into 3rd. So that's that patient driving we're talking about. Paul just sits back, boom, able to take Version, as Version lost a lot of time going in, finishing that 6th lap, going into the 7th. Paul is there to answer the bell, and now he's in 3rd.
Beautiful move, absolutely beautiful, and that's what we were talking about. You're absolutely right. That's the maturity there, that's the patience that's really put a great driver together there. Up to 3rd place, that's a strong position for Paul with just Hornet and Harmonic ahead of him now. I mean, Harmonic dominant as always, but some great racing here in the 2nd pack.
So it's now a race for 3rd as Hornet distanced himself from Paul. So now Version all the way back as we are getting close to finishing this race up. Let's go all the way to the front of the pack. That's the man of the hour, Harmonic, who has not been challenged. And he is absolutely dominating this circuit right now.
Well, it's going to be 7 races on the trot, just a couple of corners stopping him from that. I mean, that's beautiful. That's a really great record.
So some good time there. He just looks so good. I mean, what can you say? He's dominated this race path of these 4 weeks, and he will provisionally take the checkered flag. So he'll finish 1st here on Spa. 2nd will be Hornet. Paul is 3rd. Wow. Version will finish 4th. 5th is Diablo. Supreme finishes 6th. Billy So in 7th. Murano in 8th. Those guys are way back there. Absolutely way back there. We'll go all the way to the back of the pack here.
Yeah, Monaro there a long way away from 7th position. So just finding his way now through the final corner. Just watching him here as he comes through the bus.
Really 8 through 12 find themselves quite a bit back. I don't know if the marshals saw anything there that would distance themselves almost a mile away from the rest of the pack, 5,000 feet. And so Murano will finish 8th. Brizzo will come through and finish 9th. As a few racers are still out there on the track. And what can you say? Harmonic just doing his thing.
I mean, It's incredible to watch, isn't it? You know, so dominant, so strong.
And we don't show him a lot, and you think why don't we show him? It's because no one's around him.
Yeah.
You know, he's got like a 1,500-foot lead.
I mean, he could be doing a better job for those esports and cars sponsors, right? If he was to back off a little bit, come back, make some action, bit of swapping around.
Yeah. No, I think he's just a man on a mission, and he's not gonna give up that lead for anyone. And we talked about it last week. You have to get him early. If you can't get him in those first couple turns, he's just going to continue to gain on you, and then next thing you know, you and I are talking about who's going to finish second.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, you can't take anything away from that. An absolutely incredible performance. You know, we're at the top level here of Forza Motorsport 6, and it's no easy thing to do. So amazing dominance there from Harmonic, and a really good job. But that battle we saw for second as well.
I thought Hornet did a good job. You know, he held off as long as he could, and then you saw Version was basically getting frustrated with Hornet, and saw himself get a little wide. Next thing you know, here comes Paul, just scooting on by, and that's what Paul does.
I agree absolutely. You know, we saw Version there. You know, he threw that move on Hornet into the bus stop chicane. Last chicane way too fast on the brakes, sails past his marker, and just a nice calm Hornet comes back, takes the apex in his second place, right back off of him. And yeah, Paul, I mean, that move on the way into Eau Rouge, round the outside there, just having all that acceleration, that was some pretty stuff.
We had a good battle as well for 5th and 6th. That was Diablo, who actually did a nice job for a while and then sort of fell off a bit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Diablo did a great job, I think, given his starting position, you know, a strong, I mean, he ended up in the middle pack there. He just about managed to stay in touch with that top group, that battle for second. Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll be disappointed, but at the same time, I think he had a good race. It looked like a lot of fun.
Well, the provisional results, I believe, are in, so we can take a look at those once they're available. And to be honest with you, it was Harmonic from start to finish, an 8-second lead on the win. Hornet in second, Paul in third, Version in fourth, and there's Diablo in fifth, who did a nice job finally holding off Supreme.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to see Diablo pushing that a little bit in the later races tonight, maybe coming up the field. So definitely one to watch there. At the same time, Brizzo, you know, look at him there in 9th position. Remember, this is the guy currently sitting 5th in the championship. He's the one just outside of the bubble, looking to get himself up into that next rank of prizes and get that paid trip to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So he's definitely going to want to do a little bit better than 9th place if he wants to continue.
Of course, we saw some players go up and down throughout the European races, the 3 we had this morning. So although 9th is not good, it's not a terrible start. I mean, if he can settle in a race 2 or 3, maybe he can make some moves and cement his spot, as all these racers have been battling these 4 weeks to find themselves in Le Mans June 17th and 18th. That's the goal right now. Harmonic with a big win. Hornet second and Paul third, and steady as it goes. Steady as it goes for Paul. I mean, it's not sexy, right? It's not aggressive. We don't see so many overtakes that we're like, wow, Paul just gave him the business. Paul just kind of goes, oh, you went off the track there, so I'm just going to go around and pass you up. Well, as Ali does every week, he got out there and did some lap comparisons. This is some of our best racers in this entire Forza Racing Championship, and this is what Ali saw. We'll be back with the final results.
This week's qualifying challenge took racers to the 3.7 miles and 17 turns of Sebring International Raceway. The car was the Porsche 911 GT1 98, an R-Class beast featuring a turbocharged flat 6 capable of producing 550 brake horsepower. The nature of this racing dedicated car led a lot of drivers to head over to the assist menu and switch traction control on. Now, traction control, also known as TCS, is a way of reducing wheel spin during acceleration by allowing the car's electronics to reduce power when its sensors notice that your tires are beginning to slip. That's all well and good, but to find out what this means from a driving perspective, I jumped in with 2 races to see how they fared. GTR Knee on the right-hand side of the screen is running TCS, while AMS Roadrunner on the left is one of the few who left that assist turned off. It's a short run down to turn 1, both of them flicking to 3rd gear. Just push through the apex, knees a little bit wide there. He's going to have a wild run on the outside, but it's turn 2 that's interesting. Now let's actually pause it just here. You can see Roadrunner on the left there is all over that curb, trying to shorten that corner as much as he can. Knee on the right-hand side of the screen, meanwhile, he's got all 4 wheels level on the tarmac. That's so the traction control doesn't kick in and obstruct his power as he tries to accelerate out of this corner. Now turns 3 and 4, very similar lines from both drivers. A little bit of correction there from Roadrunner on the exit, but if we pause it, you can see the Corvette sign there. Roadrunner has an advantage coming out of Sector 1. It's a push now down this main straight and towards the first hairpin, both of them spotting that 300 marker. Let's pause it right there though before they jump into the corner, because Roadrunner is about to throw a little bit of handbrake in to get that car rotated on the apex. Knee, though, doesn't have that tool at his disposal, and that's because if he throws the rear of the car out, locks the rear tires up with the handbrake, he's going to activate that traction control. So you can see them now as they both go through this corner. There it is, a little touch from Roadrunner at the apex, and both of them accelerating out. Now this is basically a straight, we'll call it a straight, even though it's got a right and a left in it before we come to the second hairpin here. It's spotting that 300 marker down once again, and the acceleration zone on the far side of this will suit Knee just fine. Look at all that work Roadrunner's doing on the steering wheel. That's because he can't just power down with traction control. We pause it there and we can see Knee has made back all of that time he lost in the first sector. Now, a little bit of a right-hander here. You don't want to touch that curb on the outside, no matter if you've got traction control or not. That'll just bounce your car around and into this very fast double left and hard braking. You don't want to touch the curb on the inside here either, but here on the left-hand side, you can see Roadrunner's hooked his left 2 tires over the curb, and that's going to help his car rotate, help him keep his power in as he comes through. Knee can't do that because traction control will kick in and slow down those rear tires. Second to last corner on the lap, extend on the left, push through the apex, and straight now down that straight. Little bit of a wild ride there from Roadrunner, but it hasn't lost him any speed. You can see it on both of the dashboards there. Absolutely identical. Full commitment now into the final turn, turn 17, brake at that first bumper, and then push around. But coming out of this corner, right now, Roadrunner is feathering the throttle and Knee has full commitment, allowing the electronics to do the work. And that, ultimately, as we stop it on the line, is what's given Knee just that tiny, tiny advantage over these 2 laps. So it's interesting to see how 2 very different driving styles have produced lap times that are almost identical. With no clear winner between the 2, the choice of whether to use traction control or not is more or less a matter of taste and what each driver's used to. With the Forza Racing Championship's grand final at the 24 Hours of Le Mans fast approaching, it'll be interesting to see whether the new car and track combinations favour drivers such as AMS Roadrunner or GTR Knee.
It started as a legend, one of the greatest of all. 1,000 years we've kept it hidden, to protect Earth from what was destined to arrive.
Optimus Prime, you destroyed your home. Do you seek redemption?
My maker, I do.
Your daughter, what would you say to her?
Brush your teeth, work hard. Stay away from any boy in a band, especially a drummer.
These are troubled times. Without leaders, chaos reigns. 2 worlds colliding. You're all that stand in its way. And now the greatest mission of them all, to turn the tide of human history. the imminent destruction of everything we know and love begins.
I'm not leaving you.
When all seems lost, a few brave souls can save everything we've ever known.
The operation is over.
We're not giving up on Prime, okay?
I want to stay, and I want to fight them.
For my world to live, yours must die.
They called it madness. Building the car of your dreams yourself. Madness. Putting the engine in the back. Madness. Launching a turbocharged super sports car in the midst of a worldwide oil crisis. Madness. Taking a sports car into the desert and taking the insights gained there back onto the streets. Madness. Building the first hybrid car on Earth. And when its time had come, the fastest one on Earth. Once more, they called it madness. Let them call it madness. We call it courage. The courage to build a sports car with 4 business-class seats. The courage to upgrade not only the driving, but also the driver. The courage to transfer an unmistakable design DNA and create a luxury saloon that was born on the racetrack and is at home on the roads. The new Panamera. Courage changes everything.
And welcome back to the Forza Racing Championship. Race number 1's in the books, waiting for the final results for that. Scott Cole along with Ali Tackman. We saw some pretty good racing. Harmonic got way out in front, and then it was, by that point, a battle for second.
Yeah, I'm still hot and bothered from that Porsche advert with the wing. Man, that's amazing.
First of all, we had this talk last week. You're wearing the same shirt. Wearing the same shirt as the European broadcast.
That's right. You got so many shirts, Scott. You know, come over from.
I'll tell you what. We got the final results. Not from this guy. We got the final results from you. The official results. Harmonic up in front. Hornet will finish second. Paul third. Version fourth. Diablo fifth. And we have a 5-second penalty going to Billy So.
Yeah, that's right, Billy. So they're just getting a little bit of a penalty. I think a couple of rubs there at the start of the race, causing him to get that penalty. It's always tough, you know, when you get a bump and it causes a bit of a chain reaction. It's you know, it's a hard thing to penalize. So
and a disappointing finish there for Scuba Steve, all the way down at 11. That's gonna just bring 0 points his way. So first race, nothing gained for Scuba Steve, but Harmonic adds another 25 to the bank.
Yeah, exactly. And you can look at the top of the table there. You've got Harmonic, Hornet, Paul. 3 of the guys at the top of the leaderboard here. Diablo there in 5th, and he's 2nd position right now in the championship. So all of the leaders doing a great job at maintaining their positions.
Yeah, that's big. We talked about it before. The top 4 players will not only punch their ticket to Le Mans, but have that airfare paid for.
Yeah.
And when you're coming from North America, man, that is a huge prize. And so big stakes, not only getting to Le Mans, but getting there carefree.
It is. It's, you know, it is big stakes, and everyone wants it. You know, Brizzo and Oxy, I don't think Oxy's actually made it through to the final this week, but Scuba Steve as well, they're going to want to really pull it out now. It's getting urgent, you know? And we might see them, you know, just take that aggression volume knob and just sort of, just turn that up a little bit. And they need to do that, you know? It's time to get a yellow card. It's time to do anything you can to get yourself to the top of that tournament.
Well, race number 2, that's where we're going to move to next. And, of course, we go to America. It's Connecticut. It's going to be Lime Rock, and they're going to be running the West Chicane version of that, and it'll be in the 911 GT3 RS 4.0, 1.5 miles, 15 laps, only 7 turns.
Yeah, I like a bit of Lime Rock, actually. It's a nice track, very, very smooth, very flowing, especially that first sector, the double apex right-hander onto a left, onto a right. It can feel really good, very, very flowing.
Yeah, except for it'll be the West Chicane version and not the full version, which the full version is so nice because you go through turn 6 and then you sweep through downhill into turn 7, and it's nice coming around the edge. Speaking of the corners here, let's start off with the first one. That's that big bend. You call it 1 turn, I call it 2.
Exactly. For me, if you don't straighten up the steering wheel, it's all 1 corner. Difficult place to overtake that. Even harder, though, is the uphill with tires on the outside. Big crashes there.
Yeah, the left-hander, the right-hander, then you move up the hill, and that's turn 5 that you're looking at right there. That gear 3, that's going to be the key as you make your way onto the back straight. And then it's the west bend. Like I talked about, you don't turn right there, you hit the chicane.
Best overtaking opportunity on this track. A really good place to throw a move in. I think that's why it's nice to have it added.
Well, we are just about ready to go. Harmonic up front. Hornet is in 2nd. Diablo finds himself in 3rd.
Yeah, 4th. There he is. Paul looking to just move forward a little bit here. He's not really done himself proud in the semi-finals. Just, you know, I think he could have been a couple of places higher. Version just behind him there, so you're going to have to hold him off too.
Yeah, Billy So in 7th after that little 5-second penalty in our first race. And hey, hello to you, Scuba Steve. Thanks for waving at us. And there is Dr. Bex in 9th.
Yep, the last 3 here on the grid. We've got AMS Supreme trying to do what his teammate Roadrunner did earlier in Europe today. Cod Brizzo there. And Chirp Chirp in 12th position.
Well, he started in 12th and he finished in 12th. Lime Rock is where we're at. 15 laps, 1.5 miles. And we are all green and set to go.
We are. Let's just hop back to version here into turn 1, keeping it very neat and tidy there. All of the drivers, a little bit of a wobble from Monaro on the mid corner, but nobody hurt, nobody touched, and lots of shiny new Porsches heading their way through turn 2.
Yeah, you like to see, of course, kick up a cone or two. Why not? As you work through the back side of this racetrack here on lap 1, and that's really what we saw in the European races, just a lot of smooth, packed-up styling. But as we move on through the laps, that's where the desperation starts to sit in, especially for those that are on the bubble here in this 4th week of the Forza Racing Championship, the last week that you can qualify for Le Mans.
Yeah, there it is. They're just exiting now that very slow double right onto a left. That's the best place to overtake on this track. The only time you're going to really dip down through the revs, down through the gears. There's somebody out there on the grass. I think that's Hornet.
Yeah,
Hornet
got
losing
a little
second.
squirrely. Yeah, that's going to cost him a position. So now Harmonic, Diablo, Paul ends up moving past Hornet. Can you tell I'm loving him, Paul? I don't know what it is. He's just so random. As we move further back, and there is Morano.
Yeah, exactly. Monaro here doing a good job in 5th position with Hornet just ahead. So losing 2 positions there, Hornet. Both Diablo and Paul getting by him. He'll want to do slightly better than that by the end of this race. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself because running wide on the last corner, although it's easy to do, you can usually just about get away with it.
So he's running in 5th. He's got Version behind him. Billy So's in 9th. Brizzo, Supreme, and Chirp Chirp are bringing up the rear. And you can see as they go through that west chicane, they're right there on the west bend. And that puts Monaro off in the grass, and he falls all the way back to 11th alley. So a huge mistake by Monero.
Disaster for Monaro there. Leaving that west chicane. Super tricky stuff. We saw just someone getting bumped out in front of him, blocking his path, and I think he jumped on the brakes. It didn't look to me like he crashed.
Yeah, it looked like he was just trying to get out of the way after he got squeezed over on the side. The marshals are going to have some work in adjudication. Let's jump to the front of the pack. There is Harmonic, Diablo, and Paul, and trailing right him in number 4. Right behind Paul is Hornet, but Paul's got his sights set on Diablo as they gain a little bit of air coming over the crest.
That's such a great feature of this car. The drivers hate it, but it's great to watch as those cars just pop little wheelies as the ground falls away beneath them.
Yeah, that's not what you want when you're counting on all 4 tires to stay on the pavement. So we're in our 3rd lap. Let's jump back just a bit, and there's Supreme making a move past Version.
Great stuff, Version there, getting a little bit loose on the last corner, just losing the back of the car. He's going to try and come back now through turn 1, and look at that, he's on the inside. He's made himself relevant. Can he do this?
Supreme cannot hold him off Version. There's some bumping, and now Version will move back into 8th.
That was a tidy move, I've got to say. You know, just managed to hold himself in there, hold himself relevant on the rear right quarter panel of Supreme, heading down that straight. And it's just a matter of hanging in there all the way through that very long turn 1 and 2, if you like to call it that.
Boy, there's some more bumping and grinding, R. Kelly style, as they move through that chicane. That's why I love the full. The full, it's just sweeping through there. But we've had some interesting as we get loose. That is Billy So once again getting loose, and he's going to get passed up by all 3 drivers, and Dr. Bex loses too much speed. So Virgin and Supreme go right by him, Allie.
Dr. Beck there trying his best to defend off Supreme.
Not enough
away
speed.
Into turn 1.
Not enough.
Not enough speed, but a lot of aggression. They were both lucky to stay out of the grass there. That can easily go bad, that kind of a move. Beck, no, falling back down to 8th. No harm done in the end with Supreme. Yeah, great job, up 2 places.
How about Virgin and Supreme? Not on the same team, but working together here. They were at 9th and 10th. Next thing you know, they've worked up to 6th and 7th.
Brilliant stuff, isn't it? You know, and you can get that way. You know, if you drive with somebody, maybe they're not talking to each other, but you can sometimes get a little bit of an informal agreement out. You know, we're of the same-ish pace. Let's not threaten each other too much. Let's just do this. Let's work forward through the pack.
Well, let's move up to the front and see what's going on. That's Paul. He's on the heels of Diablo. Boy, this is about as aggressive as I've seen Paul race, and he might try to move to the inside here.
I don't know what it is with Paul and Diablo, but every single time they're on a track together, they are running so close to one another.
Well, you talked about sometimes, you know, birds of a feather flock together, and it's been Paul and Diablo hooking up here at the front of the pack, and I don't even want to tell you where Harmonic is. I think he's already pulled off, got himself a smoothie, and got back onto the freeway here. Way out in front is Harmonic. Diablo's 2nd, Paul's 3rd, Hornet's 4th.
This is such a great little battle, though. Stick on with this for a little while with just Diablo there, 2nd place.
And as we were talking about that, Version has moved into 5th. So just bringing it up to date.
Oh, great. Great job
and
there.
Supreme didn't move with him. Supreme got caught behind Scuba Steve.
So losing out there, Supreme. They're all going to be hoping, though, that this battle for 2nd goes south for someone. Is that Hornet on the grass there just behind? Let's wait and see.
Yeah. Able to recover, though. Version too far behind Hornet to make up any pace. So Hornet gets a little wide there, but it doesn't cost him, Allie.
Getting away with it. Getting away with it just about. It's super tricky. You know, the grass here at Lime Rock, it's a lot like the VIR circuit. You know, if you touch it, if you get 2 wheels onto it, you can very easily find yourself shooting off into the wilderness rather than staying on the black stuff, and that's where you need to be.
So 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Some tremendous racing. You see, this is the first time I've seen Paul push it this hard. That just tells me that he feels really comfortable with this 911 RS 4.0.
I agree. I think it says a lot to it. There you go,
Gotta be careful. Hornet's on his inside.
Look at that. Paul took the whole line there, left no room on the inside of that track. He had confidence that Hornet wasn't going to dive bomb him, and his confidence was right, you know, at the end of the day. But that does not mean the pressure's off, and it doesn't mean that he can relax even for one little second.
He's stuck in a sandwich between Diablo and Hornet. And I think Diablo's got the most comfort right now. Paul is probably the one that's the most worried. You see plenty of space between Diablo and Paul, but Hornet breathing down on to that maroon GT.
Great to see, isn't it? Hornet, of course, starting this race with a mistake and slipping down from second into, I think, 4th position.
Let's jump out front here, Ali. Take me through a lap. This 9th lap by Harmonic. What makes him so fast?
It's always that mystery, isn't it? That Harmonic magic. Just here on turn 1, hooking up a double apex there. You can notice always how smooth Harmonic is. Look at him there. I love the way he blips the throttle. We noticed this previously as well. Just that blue line there next to the number 3. That says his throttle input. How much is he squeezing that right trigger on his controller? Just wait for him here to get mid-corner. You'll see him blip it just to keep the rear of that car in check. Really nice stuff there. And yeah, I mean, maybe that's one of the secrets. I mean, it gets to a point here with people like Harmonic where it's so difficult to tell how they're finding this dominance. These are against some of the best drivers in Forza Motorsport 6.
He is well out in front, about 500-600 feet. One of the rare errors we've seen from him, getting a little wide there.
Yep.
On lap 9. Let's go back to where the pack is. This is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And Hornet, once again, this is where he tested him last time, Alec.
Here we go.
This time he wins.
You don't win against Paul. You just rent it. You rent it. He's going to take that back any second. Yeah, so Hornet a little bit late on the brakes there into turn 1. And Paul is right back in 3rd. But you know who's been loving this battle? That's F4H Diablo. Finally, Paul isn't all over him.
And Paul getting up on 2 wheels there as he went around that last turn. And I'll tell you right now, that's the real battle. Yeah, we're not showing you a lot of 5th through 12th. It's because they're way back there. You got Harmonic way out in front, and then you got this 2-3-4 battle, and it's really turning into a 3-4.
I've got to say, this is such a cracking battle. Hornet versus Paul, you know, 2 people who have been right at the top of their game here in the NA Championship. It's always good to see.
Yeah, Paul gets a little bit off. You can see it now from Hornet's view, just how well Paul is doing at closing that door, even when Hornet, ooh, Paul! And this time, Hornet might take this for good, and he will. What an overtaking. Paul got a little squirrely on the outside, and Hornet able to push himself by.
Beautiful move from Hornet. Absolutely opportunistic, as all the best crimes are. And he's just slipped by Paul there, who'll be kicking himself, but at the same time, you can't win them all.
Boy, Hornet earned that one. We talked about it. You said he rented it. This time he went out and
yep, it's all his.
Bought the whole thing. You can see him cut the corner there. That's the interesting thing we talked about on that chicane. The quickest way through it is really to get all 4 tires off. Hornet's got to be careful not to lose speed there. That's not where you want to take all 4 tires off. It's through that chicane.
It is.
We'll
You're
see
right.
if that comes into play.
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult to marshal. That's definitely going to be a lot of people's racing line rather than their sort of like a one-off trip there. They're going to take onto the sort of all 4 wheels onto the curb there. So it's always just a marshalling decision. You have to make a choice before the race. Are you going to punish it, or are you going to let it fly?
Let's take a look at the back just for a second here so we can show you what is piled up all the way in the back. Let's take a look with AMS, Dr. Beck. Let's just run to the back of the pack here. That's really the holdup. The holdup is that guy right there, number 6 spot. Dr. Beck is just holding up about 3 or 4 races, not allowing Supreme or Monaro able to work themselves by. And then you see Brizzo is just not having a good run today.
He isn't, not at all. But these 4 are going so close, just absolutely nailing it lap after lap. We're coming into lap 13 now. Harmonic still, of course, in the lead. But look at this, second position, and the battle has condensed once again. Hornet got by. I think Diablo must have made a little mistake, because now him and Paul are all over him.
Diablo slowed up just a bit, and now I think that was the whole thing. I think Paul just isn't as fast as Hornet. And so once Hornet was able to finally get past Paul, now Hornet can be the one to challenge Diablo. Here comes that chicane.
Hornet not waiting at all. Greedy stuff there from Hornet, trying to make a move that maybe wasn't on the cards stick. Just having to fall back again. But all that is allowing Paul some opportunities here. And I think he's licking his lips because he wants to move forward.
Yeah, just 2 laps remain here as they come down the Sam Posey straight and work their way into that first turn, the old Big Bend. You call it 1 turn, I call it 2.
1.5. Let's meet in the middle.
You know, you got a tip of the cap to Diablo being challenged here by Hornet. And we saw this, I guess it was a week ago, where a lot of these guys got tangled up in the last lap. It wasn't Lime Rock, but they got tangled up, and the next thing you know, here comes the rest of the pack flying by. So although Hornet would love to move up into that second spot, you got to be careful not to get greedy and find yourself near the back of the pack.
You're absolutely right. Look at that, Paul just missing the first apex there. He's hanging out, wants to conserve his speed for later on. But I think a little mistake there over one of the curbs.
Pulling away now.
Back.
Excellent analysis, partner. You can see as Hornet and Diablo just pulled away, Paul missing that apex. Final lap.
Yep. The leader here, Harmonic, kicking off the final lap. You can see him on the track map there, already around turn 1, midway through turn 2. So he is getting this done in the fashion that we know Harmonic can do it in. Look at him go. I mean, who can stop him? I don't know. But this has been an incredible run. 7 wins on the trot.
Yep.
And if he can wrap this lap up.
There's that uphill. You can see just a little bit of air. He actually pulled back a little bit on the brake, on the throttle, as well as he moves uphill and onto that back straight. Dominates the chicane. Absolutely destroys the chicane. And he's going to go the downhill, and he's going to take another checkered flag as he, down the Sam Posey straight, will win this one in dominating fashion. So he'll finish first, Diablo second, Hornet third, Paul fourth. Fifth is Version. Beck will finish sixth.
That's Supreme on the line. That must have been so close.
Very close.
Supreme just coming back to take that there off of Monaro.
And some love taps after it's all said and done. But that's how close that group was. There was about 5 racers through 5th to 10th that were oh so close to each other. But what can you say? Allie, another dominating performance by Harmonic. It almost makes me nauseous.
He's a brilliant, brilliant driver, and we can't sing his praises enough. You know, doing a good job there, you know, from esports and cars, Harmonic, but not racing in esports and cars livery. Yeah. I noticed for the second race running. Yeah, I had a GTR livery on there, so showing some love to the guys from GT Racing, I guess, for Harmonic there. It was all about that battle for second, though, wasn't it? As always, we're just seeing such great racing time after time from Paul, Diablo, and Hornet.
Yeah, really those 3 have sort of been interchangeable. I know Harmonic, he's out there on a different tier right now. Obviously, a lot of the more faster racers have chose the rivals path here in Season 3. But Harmonic has been the best of the racers in North America. But you talked about it. It's Hornet, Paul, Diablo. Really, that 3-headed monster is a lot of fun to watch.
It definitely is. It definitely is. Yeah, a different brain in every head, though, that's for sure. They're not all working for the same goal.
Hornet's probably the most aggressive of the 3. Diablo might be the best racer of the 3. And then Paul's just both hands on the wheel. Both hands on the wheel.
Absolute saint-like patience Paul has. You know, just so reserved. He'll wait days for you to make a mistake, I think. I think you had to, I think you had to wind Paul up quite a lot before he's going to throw a dive bomb on.
Even though that was probably the most aggressive, those first 8 laps that I've ever seen Paul race. And then when you move towards the back, it was really like Supreme and Monaro just could not get past, I believe that was Dr. Beck. Dr. Beck was the one in that 6th place that was sort of holding
That's
the
right.
rest of the pack back.
You know, cork in the bottle there, Dr. Beck. You know, we saw him making a mistake earlier on in the race as well. I think a couple of guys slipping past him. So he was, you know, really out of position. I was expecting him to be having a little bit more pace than some of those guys. Qualifying
Just
ahead.
pull over. just pull over.
Well, you know, everyone's more or less, you know, super fast here. I say this every time, right? But they're all in the top 12 in their region, North America. So, you know, big kudos to all of them. At the same time, yeah, Dr. Beck, a little bit more practice maybe in the Porsche 911 RS.
We talked about it, the wheelies in the air, especially on Lime Rock that you can get when you're going that uphill, and then it turns into 6 and 7 where you start heading back down the back hill, that Lime Rock track. I think it's a gem. Maybe it's because I'm American and it's in Connecticut, but we have the provisional results for you for race 2 on Lime Rock, and it was harmonic from start to finish. Diablo finishing 2nd, Hornet 3rd, Paul 4th, Version in 5th, and there is the logjam. Dr. Beck on back.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very close stuff there. I want to just take a little look there at the gap between AMS Supreme and IHR Monaro. That is, what's that? My math
He took that, I'm telling you right now,
9,000s.
he took that 7th, I believe almost at the very end. I mean, it was that close.
Yeah.
They were coming down Sam Posey straight there, racing back to the line, but it was Supreme by just a hair taking that 7th position. And when you look at the overall standings that we have on your nerd sheet, that could be the difference between, are you going to Le Mans, or are you sitting at home watching it?
Supreme currently tied in 9th position for this championship. He's going to need to pull out quite a good performance tonight in order to find himself up the order high enough to get a paid trip, but he's quite comfortable in terms of qualifying for the event without that paid travel. Yeah, Monaro, on the other hand, a little bit further down the order, 14th.
Yeah, 14th, yeah. He needs a lot of work. So those difference in points could be, I mean, you know, we're just talking about maybe 20 points here, 20 points there, but that could be the 20 points that has you in Le Mans, hanging out with us, or watching from home.
You're absolutely right. It's a championship. You know, this is the first time the Forza Racing Championship has been a week-on-week championship, right? So we're collecting points every single time we're coming out, and this is all adding up to an ultimate score. And so it's all about just getting the most you can out of every race. Sometimes you're going to have a tough one. Sometimes you're going to have to recover, or you're going to have to just make the best of a bad situation. Other times, though, yeah, you can just celebrate and get yourself loads and loads of points.
Well, as we head into the adjudication process, we'll be back. But before we do, take a look. We've been talking about Le Mans. Here's a little bit more information. On the weekend of June 17th, racers from around the world will be heading to the 24 Hours of Le Mans for the grand final of the Forza Racing Championship Season 3, the Porsche Cup. With drivers coming from all corners of the globe, this will be a racing at a scale never previously seen. From the Rivals route, the top 20 drivers will win a trip, including travel, accommodation, and meals. From the racing route, the top 16 players will win a trip, including travel, accommodation, and all meals. This is split across regions: 8 from EMEA, 4 from North America, 2 from Latin America, 1 from Asia, and 1 from Oceanic. The remaining 30 drivers from all the Rivals route and 34 drivers from the racing route will win a trip, including accommodation and all meals, but will need to pay for their own travel arrangements. With the winner taking home $20,000 in prizes being offered for so many of the finalists, this is sure to be a once-in-a-lifetime trip. If you have been lucky enough to win a place at Le Mans, this is what you need to know. All players invited to the final will be contacted by the tournament organizers and must be RSVP'd by midnight Pacific on June the 4th. For those of you who need to book time off work, players will be expected to be in France from approximately Thursday, June 15th to Monday, June 19th. Alongside this, make sure you get your travel documentation in order. This includes passports and visas. Keep an eye out over the next coming days for the Le Mans Survival Guide at ForzaRacingChampionship.com. And for all tournament news, be sure to follow at ForzaRC on Twitter.
Forgive me.
Back with you on a Sunday evening. Got some North American racing here in the Forza Racing Championship. Scott Cole along with Allie Tackett. Allie, we saw some good racing there in race number 2.
Yeah, no, we definitely did. Really close stuff. You know, loving
Except
those
for
battles.
Harmonic.
Except for Harmonic, who, as always, is just the class of the field, so doing a great job.
Yeah.
You know, I'm super looking forward to Harmonic coming in and mixing it up with all the guys from EMEA, coming over to...
And we saw some trash talk in the chat already going on. Which is okay.
That's all right.
I'm okay with that.
Confident. You know, it's good to be confident.
And he has been confident. We got the final results for you here for race number 2 on Lime Rock. And it was a good one. I tell you what, you look at this, and it's Harmonic, surprise, surprise, on top. Diablo, Hornet, Paul, and Version. Interesting Version with a 5-second penalty.
That is interesting to see. Yep, falling back down the order there a little bit. We've got also Billy Sue there at the back of the field with a 5-second penalty. And Scuba Steve picking up that warning. Now, I was saying that earlier on, that Scuba Steve needs to be doing better. He can afford a yellow card. You know, there's no point ending a tournament with a clean sheet, is there?
No, there's not. And we saw that bump down the straightaway that will cost him, push him all the way back down to 12th. The interesting thing about Version and that top 5, they were so far ahead from the rest of the pack. He hits a 5-second penalty, still finishes 5th.
Yeah. No, right.
That's how far back they were.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really split pack in the end. A great job, though, for those top few to really sort of stay together, stay fighting, and not fall back into the jaws of the people behind. It really speaks to their pace, speaks to how considerate they were with one another as they raced.
Well, 2 races are already in the book, so let's go ahead and update the leaderboard, let you know where we are through the first 2 races before we head down to the Alps, the old Turn 10 track. So we'll take a look at the leaderboard right now, and really where it sits, Harmonic on top. He's been perfect. 50 points for him. Hornet in second with 33. Diablo 5 behind him in third. Paul just 1 point behind Diablo there in fourth.
I love it. I love it. Sets it up for the last race so nicely, doesn't it? That Paul Diablo battle has just been ding-dong throughout this whole series. Car Harmonic as well, looking to do the impossible here. I think redefining what's impossible, actually, as we've seen him go through 8 races on the trot now in this series, unbeaten. Can he do it? Can he finish it off with an absolute perfect record?
Well, we are almost ready to go. There's, of course, the results through the first 2 are now going to be heading down to Alps. And before we start to talk about the track, let's just talk a little bit about the racing we saw on the European side. This track and this car combination, while maybe not be a popular combination, it's going to be very tough after that first lap for anybody to make any headway. So we're going to take a look at Alps here. This is a Turn 10 track, their creation. It's 2.52 miles, 9 laps, and they're going to be doing it in that Porsche Carrera GT, which is an absolute gem to listen to.
It's a beauty, this car. Not suited necessarily to this track, just because of the very, very fast, sweeping nature of the corners and the relatively small amount of downforce you get per horsepower with this Carrera GT. So you do see the backs popping out quite often there as they take it through the faster of the bends, which hopefully we'll have the time to have a glance at before we get in there. But as you say, it sounds so good that no one cares. It's just a fantastic thing to be around.
Yeah, 5.7 liter V10. We talked about in the European race, really that exhaust note really sounds like an F1, and you're going to notice it as they start to make their ways around the track. But you talked about those sweeping turns, and those turns are the difference. Going to take a look at the corners right now. It's going to be interesting. Can they, with those sweeping turns, be able to overtake? We didn't see it in Europe.
Yeah, it's all about mistakes here. Après-ski, probably your best overtaking opportunity, but then once you're into the fast corners like drop-off, it's all about following each other through and waiting for someone ahead to just make a little mistake, pop the rear of the car out, and you can carry that speed past them.
Yeah, drop-off is right before the split time as you work your way down, and then turns 5 and 6, called club, and we actually did see some bumping and grinding through this curve.
We did. It's a great opportunity to throw a different line there. Just make a move.
Harmonic in first, Hornet in second. Third will be Diablo.
Yeah, just behind him. There's the man of the moment, Paul 9339 in that familiar maroon livery with Monaro shaping up behind him. IHR teammates side by side here. Version in sixth.
Billy So, even with that penalty, he's still in 7th. We'll see what he does with that. Scuba Steve in 8th. Give me a little wave. Hello. And then Dr. Beck is in 9th.
There he is, Supreme. 10th position. He's had a tough night of racing. Cod Brizzo, same story there for him. And Chirp Chirp here, back of the pack. Man with the best name in Forza Motorsport.
Yeah, rocking a sort of a Tron look in that TRH livery all in the back. And we are all green here in Switzerland on the Bernese Alps. And all those spoilers pop up. And we are ready for racing.
Absolutely, just on board with Billy Sue, just trying to hold that inside line through turn 1 here. As they all head up, that's a tap, and does well to hold on there, Billy Sue. That could easily have ended in tears.
So Billy Sue holding on through these first few corners. You can just hear tires screeching, that amazing F1 note. I'm gonna let you listen as we head through this drop off. Laying on that throttle, and there they come through the club as we jump on. You can see them just all racing uphill, trying to keep that speed, trying to keep that throttle all the way down.
I love it. Look at all those cars drifting in that perfect lean angle, that little slip angle you see racing drivers drive at, where the rear tires are just popped just gently outside the sort of orbit of the front tires. Beautiful stuff to see them all racing so close to one another.
The grid is still all the same here, Ali.
Yeah.
Billy So has moved up a position. Verson has dropped down a little bit. That's really been the only change. Arano also moving into 5th. Paul staying there. The front 4 is the same, and that's the battle we're going to look for in this final match. If you're thinking, well, we're in week 4, what do I need to watch for? It's Hornet, Diablo, and Paul, and just like that, Hornet moves into 2nd place.
He worked and worked for that move, Hornet. Beautiful stuff to get past F4H Diablo, who's now sinking back a little bit into the clutches of Paul in 4th position. So this is going to be a tough one to watch. Paul there with a slide. We're on board with him. It's tough to see here because he's just lost power, and Billy Sue does both drivers up the inside. You can see in the silver car there. This is such close stuff.
Billy Sue coming out of nowhere right now through lap number 2. And I'll be honest with you, the European, when we were with the Europeans running around this circuit, it was quite a little bit of a bore, but it's been all wildness. And there is some chaos here in lap number 2. And I tell you right now, Scuba Steve is giving the business up in front.
I mean, Version there, yeah. Probably not noticing that Scuba Steve's actually his teammate. Just thinking like, hey man, I don't need any more dents on the back of my lovely Porsche. I got to give this back after this race. It's not really worth very much. Dr. Beck there a little bit wide on the exit of the last turn. And you can see Version here with a run towards turn 1.
Version trying to move to the inside. Much more aggressive racing in North America than we saw when we took this European circuit earlier today. You know, we were talking over some ice cream. I was saying, I'm not sure how this final race is going to end up. But I think, you know, we talked about it, so much on the line, so close in points between a lot of these North American racers that they're laying it all out. The final race before Le Mans, and they have not disappointed.
Not at all. I think it's going to go like this for the whole length of this race. Car Harmonic up in the lead. We're getting used to saying that here in the North American regionals. 2nd is Hornet, 3rd Diablo, with Paul behind them in 4th position. 5th Billy Sue, IHR Monaro in 6th. Just up the road there, it's Dr. Beck in 7th position, and we're on board with Version.
Jumped back to the front of the pack here and just see what's going on with Diablo and Paul, because right now that is the story. Diablo just right behind Hornet, Paul trailing him. You can see the distance. And I love the replay camera. I love being behind the driver as well, but the replay camera on this Alps track really shows how much undulation and the ups and downs and the sweeping curves as they move around this circuit.
You're right, it just gives such a great impression of the way in which the elevations change as you head around what is essentially a mountain course. You have to remember, we're in this Alps here. Through this mountain range they go, and this is a tricky corner, the drop-off here. You can just see it disappearing over the cliff there. There's Hornet down the hill, pushing into a club section that's very, very difficult.
You see the distance. Diablo is just as far back from Hornet as Hornet is from Harmonic. This is about as close as anyone has been to Harmonic in about 9 races, to be honest with you, especially through 4 laps.
You're right, you're right. It'll be interesting to watch these back and work out if Harmonic ever even lost the lead. Has he not led the lap at any point during this championship? Absolutely dominant stuff from him. Always great to see a driver who's absolutely at the top of his form. And so it'll be great to see Harmonic taking it to the final, hopefully, in 3 weeks' time.
We got a little action going on back with Morano here. He's catching up on Billy Sue. Billy Sue really came out of the gates very aggressive, Allie. He's the one that sort of set the tone for the race in the middle of the pack. But it does look Monaro, I know I say his name differently every time I say it, but Monaro really wants that 5th position if he can slide past Billy Sue.
He definitely does, and that's not the way he's going to do it. You need to keep those rear wheels from leaving big black lines like that if you possibly can. Billy Sue up ahead, though, just getting things a little bit wrong here before the drop-off. Just feathering the throttle now. I mean, can he find a way through? It looks like Billy Sue's making a few mistakes, but every time he's just managing to hold on the corner exit.
See if Monaro can pass him as we move up through the club turns. It's turn 5 and 6. And it does look like this time Monaro will overtake, so a nice job done there by Monaro. He will earn that 5th position, and he's trying to hold off Billy Sue. I mean, you can tell from that angle right there. I mean, it's a bit of a log jam. That 5th through 8th, really battling in the middle of the pack.
Too right. And it's just about getting his head down now, Monaro. Don't look in your mirrors. Don't think about what's happening behind you as Beck throws one up the inside of Billy Sue back there, and he's going to make that stick, I think.
I hate to correct you, but you said mirrors. He only has one. He only has one mirror. But he has the one that matters, which is the one on his left.
You're absolutely right, yeah. Just Monaro's right mirror there, just disappearing somewhere into the ski courses around here. Making a very nice souvenir for one of the fans. That's 3 abreast behind, though, just about, so it might be worth hopping back there if we can.
Well, let's jump forward if we can. You know, part of the big drama right now is these 2 competitors. It's number 3 Diablo versus number 4 Paul. And so Diablo currently has a 1-point lead in this championship in week 4. He's just 1 measly point ahead of Paul. I'm not sure if Paul has done that math, but he will have to overtake Diablo if he wants more points in the championship.
Yeah, Paul here just taking this battle all the way to the end of the championship. Diablo versus Paul, that's been the story of North America in terms of close wheel-to-wheel racing. It's always nice to end it with a victory, isn't it? I mean, it will just give you that momentum coming in to the final. Look at Diablo there all the way out in the banking on the outside of that corner. He can't do that every lap. That's 4 wheels outside of the track limits. Yep. Once or twice, it's all right.
Yeah, we talked about it when we came in, that the top 4 was Harmonic, Diablo, Paul, and Hornet, and that has stayed true for the first 3 races, including through the first 7 laps of this one.
Yeah, you can see it there, just moving away actually on the ticker, but on the top of the screen, you can see it laid out for you. It's the 4 championship leaders here at the front at the Bernese Alps.
So moving through lap 7. Let's jump back to the middle of the pack while we still have an opportunity with Billy Sue. And Billy Sue has been the aggressor, but we've seen him fall from 5th all the way back to 7th.
Yeah, it's been tricky for Billy Sue. You've seen a few problems with this driver's consistency. Very fast when it's able to string the corners together, but not as quick all the time. Definitely a little bit of the rear hanging out in this car, and you can just see the way that the power is being applied there on this car, that it's just sliding around at the rear. Not perfect corners here.
Let's head up to the front of the pack. There is your leader. Surprise, surprise. Old Harmonic representing that car team, Cars and Esports. And tell you what, he's looking pretty good. I mean, Hornet's racing, it's about as hard as he can. You can see the distance between them, but it's just another domination. Wire to wire in this championship. And
I think
no paint, just silver. Just base silver for this final.
Base silver this time round. Good to see. I think that's one of the last things, so the last steps to becoming really a top tier, absolutely fastest driver on Forza Motorsport 6. If you look at Harmonic's style versus Hornet's, they're both driving the same lines. They both know the car and the track just as well as each other. But Hornet's overdriving slightly, pushing too hard. And Harmonic's just always chill. He's always relaxed on that line. So maybe that's one of the differences between these two drivers here.
Just 0.9 separate our third and fourth competitors. That's really where the story is. The story is between Diablo and Paul. We'll jump just a little bit back with Paul. He needs to surpass Diablo to really secure third place in the championship. Second and third is almost, I mean, first and second is almost sewed up here, Allie.
It is.
The differences between these two competitors with just one lap to go.
I mean, I'm so happy that there are 4 fully paid travel spots going to the 24 hours of Le Mans here for the North American competitors, just because it would be such a shame to lose either Diablo or Paul from this championship. And I want to see this go all the way through to the grand final. So look at that Diablo up ahead.
Can a guy like Paul, no team, no organization, find himself? I mean, it's almost a Cinderella story. You come out of nowhere, and next thing you know, you put together 4 great weeks of racing, especially 2 back-to-back weeks of racing. You know, and he could move up.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know, just on the last lap here, as we head through, watching whether or not Paul can throw anything last minute on to Diablo, just this last time now through the slalom.
And Harmonic way out in front, so you don't have to worry about that. That's where those two guys are. Let's get more of a dynamic view, if we can, between these two competitors, Diablo and Paul. As you can see, making their way over the bridge. That's where the track overlaps each other. And Harmonic will finish first, Hornet second, Diablo third, and Paul just behind, couldn't pass him. Monaro doing a great job moving up to 5th. Beck will finish 6th, Billy So 7th, Version 8th, 9th, Scuba Steve. And that's one thing you can say about this track. It was much more aggressive with North America than it was early with our European racers. And I don't know if that was the urgency for points or Billy So just decided, you know what, I'm not going to press the brake. I'm not going to let off the throttle for the first 3 turns, and I'm just going to pinball my way. But what that did was, it sort of was the catalyst that started some great racing. But when all was said and done, Harmonic first, Hornet second, Diablo third, Paul fourth, probably the way it should be.
Agreed. That's the, you know, things are as they ought to be, I think, with that. But yeah, there was definitely an urgency in all the drivers there. It definitely felt like the last race of a series, didn't it? Everyone pushing for points, trying to get the very most they could out of it. And ultimately, the 4 drivers who've showed, I think, the most skill throughout this series have come out on top here in the last race.
So that's the unofficial. We'll get you to the provisional results. Never listen to what I say until there's official graphics on the screen that say this is really what happened. But I was sort of sour on the Alps race earlier today. Then it comes back. So it was the Alps and the car combination, but then it comes back on the North American side, and it proves to be an absolute gem of a race.
A beauty, yeah, exactly. And it shows, you know, different characteristics of different driver. They can make a race come alive, or they can have it a little bit more muted sometimes. You know, that was a great race. It was a super interesting one. At the same time, I would have loved to have seen Paul and Diablo, really open up that battle, because it was very cagey. Diablo managed to just about take it, but I felt like if there'd been a little mistake, if there'd been side-by-side action there, that might have gone on and on and on.
And we do badmouth the chicane sometimes because it does interrupt the race, but what it does is it does allow those gaps to be closed down a little bit. And really with the sweeping turns of Alps, as long as you don't make a mistake, you can maintain your lead with really not much to worry about.
Agreed. Agreed. It's all about accuracy. It's always all about accuracy, of course, just keeping that car balanced and smooth through the corners. Yeah, but at the Alps, there are places where you can make some difference. It's a nicely designed track. I think especially the club circuit there, the one we were just racing on, especially because of that little right-left kink in the middle. I really think that's beautifully put together. There's lots of different lines there, and you can really conserve speed in one area of it and find speed as a result in another.
I don't know. I'm kind of nervous about the adjudication process. We're just 2 doors over. I'm hearing people slam into each other.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone's okay back there. We do have the provisional results for our 3rd race. Harmonic course in first. Hornet actually not too far behind. Diablo, Paul, Monaro, Beck, Billy So, Version, Scuba Steve, Brizzo. Brizzo just really didn't have it today. And then Supreme all the way back in 11th. And then Chirp Chirp started off at the 12th grid and finished 12th each and every time.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And yeah, Chep doing a good job, though. Nice to see THR here represented in the North American competition. A very strong team there in a lot of the community racing. But yeah, it's always been all about Harmonic. And, it's important to remember to show respect to these drivers who do such a great job. It's all down to practice. It's down to putting the hours in. It's down to being able to string these races together, and not just anybody can do that. And so definitely, big kudos to Harmonic for throwing an amazing season together, winning every single race, the 9th one provisional so far, but I shouldn't think there's going to be any problems with that.
Well, we're going to step away. When we come back, we'll have some cool things for you. Not only will we have the final results, final leaderboard, but we're also going to give you some unheard details, if you didn't join us earlier, about Le Mans, what you can expect if you're a driver out there on June 17th to 18th. Don't go anywhere. Final results coming up next.
never really noticed cars. They've always just been there. The box that takes me to school, that we take family trips in. But one day, my dad took me to this place. The cars didn't look like boxes anymore. They were different. Some were older. Some were newer. But they all came from the same place. They had wings and muscles and eyes that looked at you. They were all fast. The engines sounded angry. But they made everyone happy. The cars weren't dirty, but people cleaned them anyway. Total strangers made new friends. And all the grown-ups stopped acting like grown-ups. I never really noticed cars before. Now I can't stop thinking about them.
Welcome back. Final segment of the Forza Racing Championship, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Le Mans. We can talk about the final results. Scott Cole along with Ali Tack. Final race there. Did you see anything that maybe required additional adjudication?
I didn't myself. Of course, I'm not the stewards. They've got sets of eyes all of their own, so they maybe were looking around different parts of the track. But yeah, for me, it looks very safe, certainly amongst the top drivers. And those are really the ones that matter there, because it was our championship 4 leaders who took that race home. Harmonic, followed by, was that Diablo? Sorry, Hornet, then Diablo, then Paul.
And, you know, the interesting thing through that was, could Paul overcome Diablo? And, you know, you talked about the adjudication and what the marshals are looking at. And I'm like, oh, you mean they're not selfish? They're not watching 90% of Paul and Diablo battling it out? Yeah, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we do have the final results, so I want to cut you off. I want to get your thoughts here, but let's take a look at these final results for race 3, and they are in. Harmonic will take home the checkered second place. Hornet, Diablo third, Paul in fourth, Monaro doing a nice job moving into fifth, along with Beck, Version, Scuba Sea, Brazzaro, and there's a 5-second penalty from Billy So. You think?
Yep, absolutely. There it is. There it is. After a little bit of a rocky start to the race, as you mentioned earlier, Scott. It's been just a tough. A bit of a tough race for Billy. So, but you got to want it. You know, you got one more chance. That was the end of it, and you got to give it your all. At the top there, though, beautiful stuff. Car Harmonic. That's 100% winning. 9 races, 9 race starts.
I'm sleep.
9 race wins for him. Just
I'm dead.
Brilliant.
I'm out. Jeez.
You know, I mean, he's shown himself to be the fastest guy in North America in every type of car, on every type of track, in this Porsche Cup. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't get any better.
Well, so that's the final results officially for race 3. We will show you the leaderboards and how that pertains to the overall week 4 results. Harmonic, you talked about it, perfect. Through race 1, race 2, race 3, all 25s. Hornet doing a nice job. 2 second-place finishes for him today and 1/3. Diablo will hold on just 4 points ahead of Paul, and that's where it starts to fall off. Virgin, Beck, Monaro, and crew.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at my nerd sheet here.
Yes, the nerd sheet.
The nerd sheet, the mighty nerd sheet where I'm doing all my maths. Provisionally, I'm not the maths, I'm not the computer.
No, you are
of
not
Gfinity. Yeah, exactly.
Unofficial.
But provisionally, looking at that, the top 4 coming into tonight's event were Harmonic, Hornet, Diablo, and Paul. There are 4 spaces to fly to Le Mans and have that all paid for. 15 places, excuse me, to not have it paid for. And so those 4 places, I would say, have gone to those 4 drivers, and well-deserved for each and every one of them. Further down the field, though, yeah, I mean, things get a little bit more risky for a few of the other drivers, especially people like Evo 8 and Overdrive, who didn't make their way into the finals this week.
No, they did get some points, but didn't get the big points here in this week 4, and so we'll have to see how that plays out. I feel like when you talk, they need like a little asterisk in the corner. Not official. Not official. So, of course, make sure you go out there and check the website, check the social media on what the final official results are. You do have some emails that are going to be coming your way if you do make that final invite to Le Mans. Let me tell you a little bit more about this big event here, June 17th and 18th. Yes, we will be in France. We will be staying at the track. That's right, just 300 meters away from Le Mans. We will be competing in Fan Village. That's where all the drivers will be. The tournament will be on site. And you're thinking, well, cool, that'll be cool. You know, we have all these drivers here. Well, you'll also have 200,000 plus people just walking around the racing grounds. You'll hear the cars moving around. It's really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Ali.
It definitely is. It's going to be so cool. The big thing to remember, the big thing to notice is that you can't just show up at the track.
Do not show up at the track, folks.
Don't just arrive there and go like, hey, I'm with the Forza, you know?
No.
We're all going to meet in Paris. We're all going to join up there.
That's not. Look at me, folks. Look, make eye contact with me. Do not come to the track in Le Mans. We will all be in Paris. Remember, not official. This is official. We will meet in Paris. Everybody will gather up. We'll head over to Le Mans together, and then you'll be also dropped off on Monday the 19th in Paris. So that's sort of the point you need to get to. So if you can get to Paris, you'll get the email where the pickup spot is. That'll also be the drop-off spot. And remember, if you got work, you need to ask for a couple days. You'll not only be racing on the 17th and 18th, but it really will spill over into that Monday as you make your way back to Paris. A lot of cool things here. I'm trying to see if anything I missed here. We're going to be sort of on the ground in tents, but not really camping. It's not Boy Scouts. It's sort of private tents, 2 to a tent. You have privacy walls, bathrooms, showers.
Electricity will
be there.
Wi-Fi.
Yes. You'll be able to plug your mobile device in and stick with it. To be honest with you, the majority of what you're going to be doing is racing on the 17th and 18th. And that's the final line I have here is this will be an endurance race. Just like the 24 Hours Le Mans, it'll be endurance. So you're expected to stay on the campground. You're expected to be around the event and around the tent, and because you're going to be racing all through the evening and into the morning on the 17th and 18th. So that's a little hint, but it is official right here, and it's going to be awesome. Meals included, accommodations, all that kind of stuff. A lot of folks that have been racing hard over the last 4 weeks, you will get your accommodations paid for. So all worth it. We can't wait to see you guys out there. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. What's your initial and final thoughts of the day?
Yeah, I mean, you know, what a great championship we've had the last 3 weeks of racing. You know, thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. I mean, and the rivals side as well. Some amazing laps there, and it's been a pleasure to be able to pick through them and have a look at some top tips. So a lot of fun. Looking forward to the grand final in Le Mans, just 3 weeks' time. Not long to wait. No, it'll be here just for that was official. That was official. So for Ali, I'm Scott Cole, all the production crew here in London for Gfinity. We cannot wait to see you in Le Mans. If you get an invite, congratulations. For those, we'll see you next time around the track. We hope that you'll tune in, view in when we head to France just a few weeks from now. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time right here on the Forza Racing Championship.
It has been said through the ages, Without sacrifice, there can be no victory. Two species at war. One flesh, one metal. Optimus Prime has left us. We're floating in space. 100 billion trillion planets in the cosmos. You want to know, don't you? Why they keep coming here.
I want to stay, and I want to fight them.
And now, two worlds colliding.
The operation is over.
We're not giving up, okay? Only one survives.
Oh my God. Forgive me.